Hello everyone and welcome to a new Let's Play of Klotzen Panzer Battles. This is a special bonus episode brought to you by my Patreon supporters. And with that said, let's get started. This will be a blind LP. I have not played this game ever before, so I also turned on the tutorial, things like that. So we can get started here. Yeah, this game is pretty much a clone of Panzer General, so it's a newer version of that game in that sense, turn-based, hex-based strategy game dealing with World War II. I'm sure you're all familiar with that kind of game. Anyway, we'll start here with the Spanish Civil War. After a couple of turbulent years, Spain has dissolved into a civil war. Nationalist forces, with the help of Germany and Italy, try to topple the Republican government in Madrid and take control of Spain. The war is a preparation for what is about to come and could have a big impact on the future war. Spanish Civil War has begun and front lines are barely seen as the whole country is in turmoil. Spanish nationalist forces, with German help, begin advancement on Madrid. Okay. If I can pretty much switch this up. Change the competence, seems like my influence changes. So if I go for, say, an exceptional general, that changes the amount of influence that I have at the start. If I just keep it at solid, I guess I'll have 190. I don't know what it means that my general is abysmal or exceptional, so I'll just leave it at that. It seems like your general has a personality, and based on that personality it can perform certain skills or it cannot perform certain skills. So having flamboyant personality means you cannot do leader skills, and if you're a leader you can do no planning skills, and if you're a planner you can do flamboyant skills. And if you're amiable, you can do all of them, but only up to level 2 or level 1. But I don't know what that means because I haven't seen the skills yet. So I have no clue which of these to take. I guess I'll go for leader, but I don't really know how good that is. I'm sure we'll be able to make do. I can choose 2 skills. I have no floss, but I could have it. Extra move is probably pretty good. Mentorship. 10% level experience gain for all units. Soldiers will spend more time with the commander and learn more skills. When units gain level experience for more attack. Okay. You get a bunch of Wunderkinds. Free promotion for level commanders. I don't know what level commanders are. Okay. Morale. Double attack, but only if the first one fails. Let's start with tickets to the last station. And no. Sure. Let's go for mentorship, but I don't... Welcome to the Klotzen tutorial. You can minimize this screen at any time by pressing the minimize button. Tutorial will be visible under the reports button strip. To restore the tutorial, simply press the orange arrow to the right of the tutorial menu title. The reports button strip. But that's here. The tutorial. Okay. Please try this now. To end the tutorial, click the disable button. To enable tutorial, click the option show tutorial in the settings menu. Yeah. The map can be moved in 3 ways. You can push the map by placing your mouse at one of the screen edges. You can drag it, pressing the right mouse button and dragging the mouse. You can also use these. Let me just... I'll get that back. I need to lower the sound a bit though. So let's go through the mission briefing quickly. The war in Spain has started. General Francisco Franco has risen against his Republican government. We must help General Franco and his nationalist forces against the communist threat. General, besides the nationalist forces, you have a German expeditionary force and an air fleet under your command. Use the air fleet to transport German troops and Spanish veterans from Morocco to Cadiz and capture Merida and Badajoz. The sound is way too high. Blah. Yeah, I want a tutorial. I just need to get out of this. I'll reload it because this is... Holy moly, that's a lot of game tips. Okay, I'm gonna turn game tips off. What? Game. Like, hide. Okay, back. No. Jeez. That music volume, I turned it almost down. It was still too loud. Holy crap. No, what? Alright, how about 8? And I'll keep this at 14 and then I'll see how bad that is at some point. Okay, new game. Let's start it again. Nope, it's still too loud. Oh, crap. Can I? No. Let's try it at 6. Alright. Fine. So I have a solid leader again. Doesn't really care about the name. I want him to be leader. Yeah. And then I take it to the last station. And skilled sergeants. I think the sound is still too high, but oh well. Right, here we are. Next. The map can be moved in 3 ways. Yeah. When starting a scenario campaign, you can modify game parameters. Yeah, that's not... Generals are used to control army groups in scenarios and influence all the units in the group. Each army group will have a F commanding general. Currently only 1, but later you'll control 1 army group in the west and 1 in the east. So generals can start with personality, flamboyant, leader, planner, and amiable. Different skills are available depending on the chosen personality. The competence influences how many skills and flaws the general will have. But our generals are in high demand, and you will need to pull some strings, influence, to get them. Let's start by familiarizing with the game menus. There are 6 button strip menus on the screen. Status, I guess this is status, controls, info, HQ, minimap, and reports. We'll get into detail of these button strip later. Status button strips at the top. Note the end-turn leveler to the left of the menu. To access the main menu, hover over the orange arrow sign to the left of the status button strip. In the status menu, weather is important as planes are grounded during storms and units receive penalties when fighting in bad weather. Trucks move very slowly if ground is muddy or frozen. Influence is basically money. Under influence is the number of units that have not attacked / moved. Let's take a look at the other button strips. Next one is controls. This works on the currently selected unit only. From left to right, the buttons are undo move, reinforcements, veteran reinforcements, upgrade, embark. In the lower row we have transport, sleep, special, and info. Undo will work after unit move if pressed before next unit was selected. If enemy units are revealed during move, undo is not possible. Reinforcements will heal the unit that has sustained losses but will reduce unit experience. Veteran reinforcements will keep most or even all of the unit experience. Info button strip shows the most basic information about the unit and terrain that the unit is on. On the left is the currently selected unit, while on the right is the unit standing on the hovered hex. Very useful for comparing units before attacking. Hover over the icons to get a detailed description of what different numbers mean. Attack. If the unit attack is equal to the target's defense, the target unit suffers 35 strength killed. For each one attack to defense difference, this is modified by 4. Defense against ground units. Level of unit division separation. Probably this is something like suppression. Supply. Town supply. Each level below 10 adds a 10% chance the town will not supply units in the vicinity, and that rail supply will not be able to pass beyond this town. Okay. First number represent column, the second number represent row where the hex is located. In some parts of the tutorial you will need to locate certain hexes using this. Now that we're currently in deploy turn, this is a period before the operations start during which you can replenish losses to units and make cheap unit upgrades. No movement is possible during deploy turn. To proceed to the first combat turn, you will need to press the end turn leveler, but hold off with that for now. The HQ menu allows quick access to the 4 very important menus. For now, open each of them to quickly familiarize yourself with their functionalities. HQ menu? Oh, here. We'll explain them in more detail later. Note that in the Manage Units menu you can view both units to purchase and the current army. You can switch to purchase and review army by clicking the button in the lower left corner of the menu. Oh, I have to click here. Okay, so not on the thing itself. Purchase units. Why would I want to buy an España class battleship? What the heck? Why would I want to buy ships? That makes no sense. Well, I can't purchase them. They're too expensive. Either way. Nationalist regular. What is this low thing? Very low? I don't know what low means. Rent? That's not what I wanted to do. Undo button? I cannot undo that. Seems like I have to reload it already. Alright. Whoops. Alright, alright. Yes. Yep. Right, we were here. Personnel menu lets you assign different commanders to your units, as well as choose general for your armies, but we'll cover it later. HQ help allows you to get your army from the tight spots and keep your army prepared for the challenges ahead, but will postpone it for a later time. Minimap gives you a quick overview of the entire area of operations. Know that you can switch to air view in the HQ menu and view air units only for quick reference. Deploy hexes are lightened and marked with a double arrow and are used for deploying units on them. Initial deploy hexes are the ones on which you can deploy your units in deploy turn. You have some initial deploy hexes at the bottom of the map, around 830 hex, desert hexes at the bottom of the screen, but your units are already deployed for you. You can undeploy them by right-clicking on them and deploy them on other deploy hexes. This only works in the deploy turn. Units can be deployed any time during this scenario, but after the deploy turn, you can only deploy on hexes connected to a supply source by a rail. More on this later. Okay, fair enough. What? I don't know what happened there. Okay. I guess I deployed it. Maybe. Seems like it. Objectives are the hexes marked by a golden star. They need to be captured for winning the map. Usually all of them, but some scenarios have different win conditions. Objectives are also marked on the minimap as a triangle pointing down. Sometimes capturing objectives is not the only condition for victory. Other conditions include destroying a part of enemy units, destroying units marked with a silver star, losing less units than stated, or even capturing or holding only a certain number of objectives. Initial briefings should be read carefully to understand the goals for winning a scenario. Game consists of turns, which represent the time passing. Every turn takes a certain amount of time, which is different for different scenarios. It is usually a full day, but it can go from 12 hours to 4 days. You should take your time to look at the settings. You can access the settings directly by clicking the gear symbol to the right of the scenario name, or from the main menu. Adjust the settings accordingly to your preferences and playing style. Notice that the sound volumes can be modified in the settings menu, UYX tab. After you end your turn, the computer-controlled opponent will perform its turn. After the Republican side has finished, it will be a time to plan your strategy. Before you start playing, it's good to review the map and decide on the best strategy to win and steps to get there. Currently, the situation is chaotic, with neither side having the advantage. If left alone, this will likely end with Spain exhausted and no clear winner. To tip the scales, we've provided you with a bomber and 2 air transports in Africa. You can transport the whole force by air to the airfield at 8:20, or you can risk the sea crossing. Keep in mind that Republican Navy is dangerous. Once across, your extra forces should have the snowball effect, incorporating units as you relieve them. Keep in mind that each unit consumes up to 700 tons of supplies each day. We can only send that much cargo via ship or rail. Supply enters the map on hexes called supply sources. Those can be supply towns, supply hexes on the edge of the map, or supply fleet. They are marked with the yellow barrel. Supply spreads from supply source by rail unless blocked by an enemy unit or town. From railroad hexes, supply spreads for 1 full day of truck transport. 8 hexes on roads, less on difficult terrain. From towns connected with railroad supply, spreads on all hexes. Can reach in 3 turns. So from railroad hexes, it's 8 hexes on roads, and from towns with railroad supply, it's 24. Fair enough. Unit's battle prowess can be seriously damaged by cutting its supply. That happens when a unit is not on a supplied hex. Impact on unit's movement, attack and defense get more severe as the supplies get low. In order to reach your objectives in Madrid and Toledo, you will need to clear at least 1 railroad from Algeciras all the way to Toledo. You can turn on the supply display by pressing the supply knob in the HQ button strip. Note how supply spreads from the city in the bottom of the map through the railroads marked with the orange S icon. Supplies blocked by enemy units. Now let's see how to transport your army. To transport units via sea or air, they need to be loaded into appropriate transport type. Units on the coast can be embarked into naval transport if there is one available. Heavier units can only be loaded in ports, but can unload anywhere. Additional transports can be purchased in the HQ help menu. Unit can be loaded into air transport only if it's on an hex adjacent to the airfield. Paratroopers can be unloaded on any hex, while other units can be unloaded on the hexes adjacent to the airfield. Press the E key, automatically unload the unit. Keep in mind that heavy units cannot be loaded on planes. We have heavy gliders in development for this, but those are extremely expensive and will only be available in a handful of scenarios. As mentioned, you have 2 air transports available. Decide which unit adjacent to the airfield you need first. Load them by using the E key or the load button in the controls button strip, and move them to the airfield on the hex 30. You can load and unload units on the hexes adjacent to the airfields, but planes land immediately if above the airfield. Once the units are unloaded, transports are available again. Once you've moved your 2 transports, it's time to activate bombers. Planes are considered to be based on an airfield, and depending on the combat radius, can attack any target within that radius around the airfield. Okay, so again, planes are considered to be based on an airfield, and depending on the combat radius, can attack any target within that radius around the airfield. They can also rebase to any airfield within twice the combat radius. Airfields available for rebase are highlighted when the plane is selected. If you need a plane to attack a hex, hover over that hex and press F, T, or B key. Press B to select the closest level bomber, T for tactical, F for fighter. Pressing the same key multiple times will cycle through all the planes that can reach the hovered hex. In this case, you only have a bomber, so hover over the target, press B, click the left mouse button to confirm, and enjoy the fireworks. Let's cover the combat next. Planes must be above the unit to be able to attack. Artillery can usually attack targets 2 or 3 hexes away. Most of other units must be adjacent to attack. The Republican infantry at Seville could cut off the only railroad we have. Soften it up with artillery and bombers, then attack it with infantry. Before the attack, you can hover over the target unit and check the average damage both units will receive. The first 2 numbers are expected damage and scatter to the target. And the numbers on the right show expected damage to the attacker. Combat results are unpredictable and can be different from the expected ones. Artillery and bombers do area damage that inflicts more scatter and less direct damage. area damage is when a unit saturates the area with a large amount of fire. Cannons, AA guns, and level bombers deal area damage. Units using direct damage will always destroy the same amount of opponent strength, regardless of the enemy strength. Wow, wait. Units using direct damage will always destroy the same amount of opponent's strength, regardless of the enemy's strength, while with area damage, the attack will be more efficient if the enemy unit is stronger. Okay. Area damage units don't receive any damage in return, which makes them ideal for softening up the enemy. Just keep in mind that you have to move in with infantry and tanks afterwards if you want to win the war. Unit info box is located below the unit icon. It shows a nation a unit belongs to, unit strength, current supply, and if the unit can attack. Green crosshair icon, and move, green arrow. If unit supply is low, unit's combat effectiveness will be impacted. Units without the supply cannot attack and can hardly move or defend. The golden line around the box marks core units that follow you through the campaign. Other units have the silver outline. In case your units receive damage, it's a good idea to reinforce heal them. When the damage unit is on a supplied hex, it can be healed. You can buy replacements or veteran replacements, which are better and more expensive. Unit experience is reduced when reinforcing it with regular troops. You can only heal units that have not acted, which means you can usually only heal in the next turn. Take some time to review the situation at the garrison of Toledo at 16.5. The situation is dire, but the defending cannon could help break up the attacks. Some units can protect other units. This is called the counterfire combat and happens before the original attack is resolved. Anti-aircraft units and some ships protect against enemy planes. Anti-tank units protect against enemy armored units. Artillery protects against land direct attacks. If the adjacent unit is attacked, the protecting unit will first shoot at the attacker, and then the attacker will only continue the original attack with the surviving strength. If the protecting unit is adjacent to a defending unit, combat is interrupted and the counterfire combat is resolved first. Observe that this happens during the opponent's turn. Also note how this reduces the effectiveness of attacks by inflicting temporary scatter damage. You can find info on your progress in the status pop-up. It is shown at the beginning of each turn and has info on the current weather, remaining turns to victory, controlled objectives, and more. This can be turned off in the settings menu. Campaign tree shows on which path different event decisions and scenario outcomes lead. Major victory can sometimes make the next scenario much easier, or can lead to a quicker ending of the campaign. You can access the campaign tree at any time from the main menu. Note that depending on how you perform here, your next assignment will be either helping to finish the war here or help unite the Austria with Germany. The image below shows a combat result. I don't see any. It can be seen that direct attack by infantry does mostly direct damage. In this case, defending unit has received 1 damage and inflicted 2 in return. Note that both units didn't inflict any scattered damage. The last icon in the combat results box shows how much unit dug in level has been reduced. Dug in level increases defense, so decreasing it makes the defending unit easier to attack. There was nothing, but fine. Airfields can support up to 6 combat and up to 6 unit on transport planes. The numbers under the airfield below, there is no number, show the total number of units on the airfield, total number of planes that can attack, and total number that performed actions this turn. Helping the garrison of Toledo could be a huge morale boost to the cause, but we're short on trucks. I will need to move the entire army by rail. First clear one of the railroads to Toledo, then load the units by placing them on the railroad and pressing E. You can unload them by pressing the embark button in the controls menu. Just keep in mind that you can only unload heavier units in towns. I believe you can take it from here. Once you master the simple operations, we can continue with more complex ones. Next tutorial is available in the scenarios Aragon or Bruderkampf. Good luck. Oof. That was a lot of text. Alright. I think after having to restart again because of the game's controls, It seems like this is random. Like you start out with either being randomly abysmal poor or something like that. Not really sure. I'll keep it at competent solid. Oh wait, I didn't. It's leader. Fine. I don't care that much. I'm sure it'll be fine. Minimize this. We've already talked about all of that. Let's go here. Okay. I can take that city, but I need to get that unit to move closer. Now I don't get any extra unit. I'm not really sure what triggers you getting extra units or not. It's a bit silly that sometimes you get extra units, sometimes you don't. Not really sure what's the idea behind this. But oh well. An extraordinary breakthrough. An intelligence network in possession of the enemy's plans, so you've gained information about position of movement of the enemy units. Okay. Let's take the hex and then start shipping in units. The controls don't work yet on the keyboard, so wait. Really. Okay. The thing is that for the first unit, I can only deploy it on the airfield, and I can't deploy... Yeah. Never mind. This game is so weird. Anyway. Let's land those and make sure that we have protection. From that side. And then I'll land the plane in there. I cannot see their entrenchment level. So I guess they aren't. Enemy has a vision of 2. So with some luck, I might be able to get some of my units out here, because otherwise they'll go and do some serious damage to those units. And now I might still use them later if I am capable of getting them out. Actually, I might get these guys over here. If I can get that rail line running up to there, then that will make it a bit easier for these guys to get supplies again too. Oh, I need to go back like this if I want to have any chance of rescuing them. Oh, okay. How did they see that? How did they see that? I don't think they should have been able to see that. I thought I could see the enemy units for 2 turns, but it seems like that was a lie. Let's see though. One of the problems again is that I cannot properly see what it's okay, so all scatter is lost after an attack. Kill them, so I'll be able to take these as well. In terms of supplies, I guess you don't get supplies here currently, even though that enemy unit is dead. Kind of weird. At any rate, I do have supplies there now. Seems like they didn't come out. Let's see what they do. They might be pretty aggressive. They attack too. Very interesting. I'll try to make sure they cannot get the airfield, and then I can actually get into that city. I have to say I was fairly disappointed that they were still able to attack this thing. It will die, but maybe I can get into the mountains and then just see what happens. I'll try to escape. They can still see me. Well, that's a shame. They did escape. Might be able to get into that city. Unlikely, but we'll see. It's empty now. They didn't even move in here, strangely enough. Oh, okay, so the supply now is restored like that. Indeed. Even they supposedly get supplies. Now if we go to manage units, see, I have no core units to deploy, unfortunately. I don't know what a portion of the influence is, how much that supposedly counts as. I don't even know whether that would be necessary. Let's end a turn. Weird that they're going for the infantry there. Somehow they're both alive. I wonder if this works for me too, that I would get supply from that hex too. Actually quite curious. Huh? Really? You stay on that hex? It almost looks as if they're on the ground. What? Super weird. What I'll do though is I'll attack these, move in here, keep the artillery in the back. If they attack, there'll be trouble for them. And kill this. Kill that Republican unit. So now this area here is clear. And the AI is in trouble there. Great. I want to take both of these places for influence. Seems like they try to get out. Very aggressive maneuvers by the AI. These really cannot be upgraded. There's no trucks for it, so. just as well attack anyway. And take that hex. The AI seems to not be inclined to take my hexes. Which is kind of weird, if you ask me. But I guess I'm not gonna argue with it. They probably still have a pretty significant amount there, but the don't even have supplies here. Can't give them replacements either. Only thing I can kind of try to do is get out, which will not succeed. But we'll see. The interesting thing is that now supposedly those cities there are isolated, and the AI only has supplies at the top of the map. I think we can probably leave it at that. No. I also find it weird that this movement thing can go forward. Anyway, the AI doesn't really have any planes. I'll just go here. I don't know why these are listed as active units. So I think that doesn't do anything yet either. Kind of weird. It's not surprising they attack there. Artillery down. Need to kill units marked with a star. Well, either which way, I'm taking this. Taking this. Get 100 prestige for each city. Just quite a lot, but yeah, I'll spend that upgrade. No, I don't think there's anything there. We can also see that by supply. The only weird thing is that the supply doesn't go up there by rail. I'm not quite sure why the rail doesn't go through there currently. Oh. Well, that explains a lot. Hmm. Interesting. For them to get only 2 suppression, I'm not too impressed. So... let's check how supplies work now. We technically need to take Malaga too and Lucina, although they currently don't get any supplies. So. I think that's it though. Wait. I can take this. They have very poor supply, but very soon I should be able to at least have the supplies up and running on the way to the north, and then I obviously still need to deal with all of that, but that should be a bit better. Yeah, I can't give them replacements. Alright. I'm gonna... come to you here. Very interesting to see how aggressive they are there.